Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवतीर्नैष्टिकी. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 5, titled as Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. Our focus will be on text number 36. Sri Daksha Vacha Aho asadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Sri Daksha vacha aho asadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Sri Daksha vacha aho asadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Sri Daksha vacha aho asadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Sri Daksha vacha aho sadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Sri Daksha vacha aho asadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Mataji. Sri Daksha vacha aho asadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Sri Daksha vacha aho asadho sadhunam sadhu lingena nastvaya asadvakaryar bhakanam bhikshor marga pradarshitah. Sri Daksha vacha Prajapati Daksha said, aho asadho, O greatly dishonest non-devotee, sadhunam, of the society of devotees and great sages, sadhu lingena, wearing the dress of a saintly person, na, unto us, tvaya, by you, asadhu, a dishonesty, akari, has been done, arbakanam, of poor boys who are very inexperienced, bhiksho marga, the path of a beggar or mendicant sannyasi, pradarshitah, shown. Translation. Prajapati Daksha said, alas, Narad Muni, you wear the dress of a saintly person, but you are not actually a saint. Indeed, although I am now in Grihastha life, I am a saintly person. By showing my sons the path of renunciation, You have done me an abominable injustice. Is it good to say this? And we have said it how many times? We have recited this verse so many times this morning. I was just thinking like that. In Bhagavatam, we have to recite those verses also which shouldn't be said actually. But that's the beauty of Bhagavatam. Because in doing something which apparently is not to be said, actually we are reciting the Bhagavatam, because everything in Bhagavatam is pure, even if some verses are like this. Actually we are cursing Narad Muni so many times, every time we recite this verse. Like that. Okay. So let's hear Srila Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada writes a brilliant purport here. So it's a very lengthy purport, so I'll read a bit fast. So please keep up to it. Srila Prabhupada said, Sanya Astra Alpa Chidra Sarva Loke Gaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 12.51. In society, one will find many sannyasis, vanaprasthas, grihasthas and brahmacharis. But if all of them properly live in accordance with their duties, they are understood to be sadhus. Prajapati Daksha was certainly a sadhu because he had executed such great austerities that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, had appeared before him. Nevertheless, he had a fault-finding mentality. He improperly thought Narad Muni to be a sadhu or non-saintly because Narad had foiled his intentions. Desiring to train his sons to become grihasthas fully equipped with knowledge, Daksha had sent them to execute austerities by Narayana Saras. Narad Muni, however, taking advantage of their highly elevated position in austerity, instructed them to become Vaishnavas in the renounced order. This is the duty of Narad Muni and his followers. They must show everyone the path of renouncing this material world and returning back home, back to Godhead. Prajapati Daksha, however, could not see the exaltedness of the duties Narad Muni performed in relation to his sons. Unable to appreciate Narad Muni's behavior, Daksha accused Narad of being a sadhu. The words Bhikshor Marga, the path of the renounced order, are very significant in this regard. A sannyasi is called Tridhandi Bhikshu because his duty is to beg alms from the homes of grihasthas and to give the grihasthas spiritual instructions. A sannyasi is allowed to beg from door to door, but a grihastha cannot do so. Grihasthas may earn their living according to the 4 divisions of spiritual life. A Brahmana grihastha may earn his livelihood by becoming a learned scholar and teaching people in general how to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He may also assume the duty of worship himself. Therefore, it is said that only Brahmanas may engage in deity worship and they may accept as prasad whatever people offer the deity. Although a Brahmana may sometimes accept charity, it is not for his personal maintenance but for the worship of the deity. Thus, a Brahman does not stock anything for his future use. Similarly, Kshatriyas may collect taxes from the citizens and they must also protect the citizens, enforce rules and regulations and maintain law and order. Vaishyas should earn their livelihood through agriculture and cow protection, and Shudra should maintain their livelihood by serving the 3 higher classes. Unless one becomes a Brahman, one cannot take sannyas. Sannyasis and brahmacharis may beg alms door to door, but a grihastha cannot. Prajapati Daksha condemned Narad Muni because Narada, a brahmachari who could beg from door to door, had made sannyasis of Daksha's sons who were being trained to be grihasthas. Daksha was extremely angry at Narada because he thought that Narad had done him a great injustice. According to Daksha's opinion, Narad Muni had misled Daksha's inexperienced son, Asadva Akari Arbhakanam. Daksha regarded his sons as innocent boys who had been misled when Narad showed them the renounced order of life. Because of all these considerations, Prajapati Daksha charged that Narad Muni was a sadhu and should not have adopted the dress of a sadhu. Sometimes a saintly person is misunderstood by grihasthas, especially when he instructs their young sons to accept Krishna consciousness. Generally, a grihastha thinks that unless one enters Grihastha life, he cannot properly enter the renounced order. This is a very, very key point here. Generally, a Grihastha thinks that unless one enters Grihastha life, he cannot properly enter the renounced order. If a young man immediately adopts the path of the renounced order in accordance with the instructions of Narad or a member of his disciplic succession, his parents become very angry. This same phenomenon is occurring in our Krishna consciousness movement because we are instructing all the young boys in the Western countries to follow the path of renunciation. We allow Grihastha life. But a Grihastha also follows the path of renunciation. Even a Grihastha has to give up so many bad habits that his parents think his life has been practically destroyed. We allow no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling and no intoxication, and consequently the parents wonder how, if there are so many no's, man's life can be positive. In the Western countries, especially, these 4 prohibited activities practically constitute the life and soul of the modern population. Therefore, parents sometimes dislike our movement. Just as Prajapati Daksha disliked the activities of Narad and accused Narad of dishonesty. Nevertheless, although parents may be angry at us, we perform our duty without hesitation because we are in the disciplic succession from Narad Muni. People addicted to householder life wonder how one can give up the enjoyment of Grihastha life, which is a concession for sex enjoyment. How can one give it up simply to become a mendicant in Krishna consciousness? They do not know that the householder's concession for sex life cannot be regulated unless one accepts the life of a mendicant. The Vedic civilization therefore enjoins that at the end of one's 50th year, one must give up household life. This is compulsory. However, because modern civilization is misled, householders want to remain in family life until death, and therefore they are suffering. In such cases, the disciples of Narad Muni advise all the members of the younger generation to join the Krishna consciousness movement immediately. There is nothing wrong with it. This is Prabhupada's very strong purport here. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Mukham Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tammaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prajapati Daksha said, Alas, Narad Muni, you wear the dress of a saintly person, but you are actually not a saint. Indeed, although I am now in Grihastha life, I am a saintly person. By showing my sons the path of renunciation, you have done me an abominable injustice. So, this is a very pivotal point in this particular chapter. Actually, it is the defining verse of this chapter, because this chapter is called as Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. And this is the point in time that he is beginning to curse him. He has not cursed him as yet. Right now he is chastising him, but eventually he will curse him. Right? So this is the turning point. So, Prajapati Daksha, we know, he begot 10,000 children in the wife of his womb, in the womb of his wife, Panchajani. And those people were known as Haryashvas. Now these Haryashvas, they had gone to a place called Narayana Saras, which is in the intersection of Indus River and Arabian Sea, Prabhupada writes. And over there, these 10,000 sons of Daksha Prajapati had done several austerities. Now, but why did they do these austerities? It's very important to know. They did these austerities for the purpose of creating this material world. Now, Narad Muni, it is said that a devotee can be in different levels of consciousness. A devotee can have a consciousness of a bumblebee, or the devotee can have the consciousness of a fly. Right? What does a fly do? A fly goes to a botanical garden where there are so many beautiful flowers, but the fly ignores the beauty of those flowers. It ignores to taste the nectar of those flowers, and instead, if some garbage is there in the corner of botanical garden, which may not be in Australia, but in India you will find it, right? There will be some garbage, somewhere, and where crows are eaten, and then the fly will go there and suck the juice of that garbage. Okay, even though it's in a botanical garden. Whereas a bumblebee, what it will do is that even amidst garbage, if there is a flower which has come, which is carrying beautiful nectar, the bumblebee ignores the majority garbage and only goes and sucks the nectar from that flower. So, Narad Muni is such a personality. Narad Muni knew that these Haryashvas are not doing austerity for the purpose of attaining, Krishna Prem. But Narad Muni saw one good quality. What was the good quality? They have the ability to perform austerities, and that's what he latched on. Narad Muni latched on that because he has that eyes to see the good qualities in people and to dovetail those good qualities to accelerate the journey of any soul in self-realization. And that's exactly what Narad Muni has done. So he preached to the Haryashva saying that, excellent, you have amazing powers of doing austerity. Just like we praise devotees in the initial days. And then we say, kaam pe lagate hai unko. Then we put them in Krishna consciousness. And then we tell the rules and regulations. But initial days, a new person needs a lot of encouragement. So Narad Muni is doing that. And then what happens, these Haryashvas, under the expert preaching of Narad Muni, these people forget Grihastha life and they become renunciants. So Daksha is very upset with that. Of course, then what Daksha does, he says that, okay, I have a duty. If Narad Muni is so determined, I am also determined. I will produce another 1,000 children now. And then he produces again all sons. And this time they are known as Savalasvas. Earlier it was Haryashvas. Now it is Savalasvas. This is the next 1,000 set of children. But again Narad Muni does the same thing. So now Daksha is upset. Now he says, enough is enough now. Once I did not say anything, but now again you have done, with great labor I produced another 1,000 children, and now you have taken them away. Now in his anger, he is speaking these verses. He is chastising Narad Muni. Not this verse itself. He continues to chastise Narad Muni till the second last verse of this chapter. Then Sukadeva Goswami is concluding then. The last verse. He is going on and on from here. Okay. So next few verses is all about cursing Narad Muni, like that, chastising Narad Muni, eventually leading to the curse. So that is why this is a very critical juncture in this chapter, which leads to that title of the chapter. Now, in his purports, Prabhupada has given a very long purport to this, as you have heard. And here Prabhupada has taken up a lot of sociological issues here in this particular purport. So let's try and understand, because there is a lot of, one of the 12 aims of Shastric study is evaluation. All of us know the 12 aims, right, of Shastric study. We call it as cup, fate, Mars: knowledge, understanding, personal application, preaching application. That is KUPP, cup. Then there is so many other things: faith and conviction, authority, mood and mission, and then the next is evaluation. So many times the Bhagavatam brings us to a point where we have to evaluate who is right, who is wrong. Or sometimes the Bhagavatam actually is expert in bringing our understanding to such an extent that when we evaluate, we will not really see who is right or wrong, but rather what is higher principle. In material world is full of dualities. Even when we look at people, suppose someone, let's say a husband and wife comes to us with an issue. Sometimes we see it from the lens of who is right and who is wrong. The husband is right, the wife is wrong. The wife is wrong, right, or husband is wrong. But Bhagavatam lifts us beyond these dualities of life. So Bhagavatam is able to rise above the mundane rights and wrongs of this world and to see things at a much, much higher level. Transcendental level, yes. So, let us try to understand this particular section from that point of view of evaluation. We will begin by giving credit to Daksha. Actually, Daksha deserves credit. You see, it's easy to just look at the fact that Daksha cursed Narad Muni, Vaishnava Aparadh, he is condemned to hell. Yes, that's very obvious. But let us look beyond the obvious. So, we have to give credit to Daksha. Why? Because what is Daksha doing right now? Daksha has instructed his children to produce progeny. Why is he doing that? He is simply doing his duty, if you see it. Right? Because who has ordained that progeny should be there? Brahmaji has ordained. Has Brahmaji again decided that based on his own free will? Yes, based on his free will, but under the instructions of Lord. Lord only created this Sarga, and then the Lord only said that, okay, Brahma, you create Visarga, secondary creation, and then I'll release the souls into this world. So obviously souls have to be released. Why did Varahadev, when Varahadev appearance, what was the significance of that? Varahadev lifted the earth because Brahmaji was wondering, all the Devi Devatas were wondering, now we are all here, but where are the souls? The souls have to come to Karma Bhumi, which is earth. So it was submerged in water. So Varahadev lifted the earth so that this whole, the souls can be then inhabiting this earth. So Daksha is actually in one sense only aiding the desire of the Lord. So what is wrong? So yes, that credit we should give Daksha, that he is doing something, right? Second credit we have to give Daksha is that at least Daksha's children, if you see, they did not just say that, okay, my father has asked me to produce 10,000 children. Okay, let's go to a party on Friday night and let us have disco music. After that, let's get drunk and then let's produce many children. Because when one gets drunk every Friday night, he can produce so many. Every Friday night, one child can be produced, right? Which is what is happening in the world, right? Right? But no. These children, Daksha taught them to do austerities before producing children, which is not a bad idea. In one sense, at least there is some concept of a higher authority, right? Unless one has some concept of divinity, a higher authority, why will someone instruct their children to do austerities? So yes, credit to Daksha for that. At least he is not teaching his children, be atheistic and enjoy life. And produce children like cats and dogs, Prabhupada says. No, he is not doing that. So there is some dharma that you can see. So he's still adopting a dharmic way. So that is the credit to Daksha. But what is the issue here? What is the issue here that is eliciting this kind of a purport from Prabhupada, where Prabhupada is apparently hammering Daksha? No. Why is this? This is where that evaluation comes. So, in his treatise, Jaiva Dharma, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur talks about Anitya Dharma, Naimittika Dharma and Nitya Dharma. Anitya Dharma is actually, what is called that in English, we call it as oxymoron, if I remember correctly. Oxymoron means nicely bad, if you say something like that. How can be nicely bad? Like that. No, that's called oxymoron. You give opposites like that. So, Anitya Dharma is an oxymoron. Anitya cannot be Dharma in one sense. Anitya Dharma actually says you are doing akarma. No, not akarma, vikarma, bad activities. That is called as Anitya Dharma. Most of the world is engaged in that kind of a thing. It's actually not Dharma at all. But higher than that is Naimittika Dharma. Naimittika Dharma is, an example of Naimika Dharma is Varnashrama Dharma. Not Daivi Varnashrama. Varnashrama Dharma, plain Varnashrama Dharma. Because in plain Varnashrama Dharma, what are we being taught? Okay, you want to enjoy? No problem. But have some kind of a regulation. Be brahmachari. If you can't, then take grihastha ashram and beget children. But don't have illicit sex as a brahmachari and produce Varna Shankaras. Marry laudably and produce children. So this is one of the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. But marrying laudably and producing children, is that the goal of life? That is the question to ask, right? If everyone says, I'm married, I have my children. Many times when we start preaching to people, they say, the goal of life is to be a good man. See, look, I don't trouble anyone. I just do my job. I work hard. I work hard for the money. Right? There was one song in those days, right? So I work hard for the money. And then I'm maintaining my children. I'm buying branded clothes for my child. I'm buying a nice house. I'm not troubling anyone. I'm not murdering anyone. Right? I'm not raping. I'm not killing. Right? So just be a good man. Don't go into, in Hindi we say, kisi ke jhanjat mein na pado. Which means what? You don't go and interfere in anyone else's life. Just be yourself, nice. If you have a capitalist ideology, make money, work hard and enjoy life. That's all. Be nice. That's the goal of life. I believe in being a good human being. That's their conclusion. That is what. And then at the end of life, we all will go to heaven after that. And then everything will be nice after that. Over. End of philosophy. Right? So, this is called as Naimitika Dharma. Apparently, it will look good that by just following the principles and being an honest person, earning money honestly, producing children, educating them in good schools and telling them, give good morals, that's fine. Now, that's not the ultimate goal. I'll give you an example. Suppose I say that I'm a very good driver. Someone asks, how do you know you're a very good driver? I'm a very good driver. You know what? Whenever I take my car, I look ahead, I'm not on my cell phone at all. I follow all the traffic rules. 40 means 40. No 41, 42 speed. Only 40. I drive either below 40 or at 40. Right? 100 means 100. I always follow lane discipline. I give way. I show the indicator and I drive. Good driver, isn't it? What's wrong with this driving? Good driver. I have never got any demerit points. Even in parking, I'm very responsible. 1 hour means 1 hour. Like that. I move my car. So I'm a very good driver. Right? Where are you driving? That I don't know. I don't know, but I'm following the rules. 40 means 40. 100 means 40. Where you are going? I don't know. So what kind of driver is this? He's a good driver, but is he an intelligent driver who doesn't know where he's going? Right? So this is the difference between Naimitika Dharma and Nitya Dharma. Naimitika Dharma apparently looks like you're a very good human being. Everything is very nice. Right? But you have forgotten the goal of life and you're just thinking that I'll be a good prisoner in this jail of material existence. I'll help my fellow prisoners. If I have some food and my fellow prisoner drops his plate down and he is suffering, so I'll give my food to the fellow prisoner. But hang on, the higher goal is to get out of the prison of material existence. Now that is the difference between Naimitika Dharma and Nitya Dharma. So Daksha Prajapati has forgotten that point here. And that is why all this purport Prabhupada is talking about. Okay, it's good, everything is good. Beget children, everything is nice. Do austerities, everything is dharma. But the highest dharma is Nitya Dharma, not Naimitika Dharma. Naimitika Dharma looks like a shadow of, it's a shadow of Nitya Dharma. It looks like that, but it's not quite there. Now, that is why the results are different. If we follow Naimitika Dharma or when we follow Nitya Dharma, the results will be different. Now, Daksha has his own view. It's not that Daksha is oblivious to Jaiva Dharma. No, he's not oblivious. Okay, Daksha knows the principle of self-realization. He knows the principle. Okay, but Daksha has a different view on how to reach that self-realization, which you will see in the next few verses also. Daksha believes that as long as you are here, you do your karma kand, you do your duties, you do your austerities, you beget children, etc., etc. And you do karma kand, which means you do ritualistic activities, right? In fact, he calls himself by a name also down the line. He gives himself one self-certified name. What is the name, Gopan Shau, you remember? He calls himself as something, by which he says that I am a person who follows all the yajnik principles and like that. He self-certifies himself down the line. Okay. So Daksha is his principle is do all these ritualistic activities, enjoy life. Because when you do all this karma kanda, what will happen? You will get material rewards and then you can enjoy life, right? But Daksha also knows that eventually what will happen? Disease, old age and death will come. Now Daksha knows that. He is not a fool. He knows that. But his principle is they will anyway come and frustrate you. Let that happen. When that happens, automatically you will get detachment. And this is the problem with Daksha's philosophy. This is his understanding, which will come in the future verses. When you go to the conclusion, you will see that Daksha is thinking like that. Right? Eventually, material world will frustrate. Now use the frustration that the material world gives you, use that frustration as a platform for your spiritual life, for getting into spiritual life. So frustration is the incentive for taking to spiritual life. Now this is the anomaly in Daksha's logic. And this is why he is doing whatever he is doing right now. This is why he is getting angry. He says, Narad Muni, why are you trying to put the cart before the horse? Let my children enjoy material life. Eventually let them get frustrated. After that they will anyway get self-realized. Why are you trying to make them self-realized before time has ordained them to be self-realized? Why are you acting smart, in other words? This is his anger. Okay, this is his mood. Now, again, evaluation. Time for evaluation. Is Daksha patient here? Is Daksha a patient preacher who says, no, don't hurry. Give the person time. Is he non-fanatic? Is Narad Muni fanatic? Is Narad Muni a fanatic? And Daksha is a wise preacher. That's an evaluation point here again. That comes, right? So we have to understand this carefully. So when we preach, we all know, especially if we have been into preaching for some time, everyone has preached to someone or the other. We know that in preaching we give people time, right? In fact, it takes 3 years, we were discussing the other day, for a Bhakti Vriksha program, people to come to the point of, Srila Prabhupada Acharya and Guru Acharya, it takes 3 years after a program starts. Cultivating every week. Every week program you do, 3 years it takes for people. 2 to 3 years, roughly. Some are on the fast track, mostly 3 years. And sometimes even after the program, people wait for 10 years or 12 years to, accept the Sampradaya. Even after 3 years of getting convinced about Prabhupada. They will come to the temple, but they will not take shelter. Right? So, when we preach, we do give people time. So the question will come, is Daksha's preaching style more practical than Narad Muni's style? Because he is very gradual. No, obviously. Why? Because Daksha is relying on the frustration of material energy and the beatings of material energy to bring people to Krishna consciousness. He's in fact allowing material energy to decide when someone will become Krishna consciousness. When someone will become Krishna conscious. And that's the problem. Now, that does not work in real life. Many years back, in the Science of Self-Realization CD by Radha Gopinath Prabhu, many of you would have heard the Lalaji example. You know the Lalaji example? Okay. Lalaji means in India, is the senior man, the head of the family like that. No? And he's like, Lalaji means usually a person who has got a shop and all that like that. Lalaji. So one Lalaji was there who had a very big business. He had a big shop and soaring business. Now when Lalaji one day became old, and Lalaji was on his deathbed, right? He was going to die, okay? And he's on the deathbed. And then his relatives came, his sons came. They brought his grandsons. Then they brought the great-grandsons. And they told Lalaji, Lalaji, look here. Your grandson Deepak is there. Sudeep is there. Tunnu is there. Munnu, Chullu, Pullu, everybody is there. So Nanaji is looking everywhere. What a nice family I have created, like that. Lot of children. Daksha Prajapati. Right? And then Lalaji suddenly is very happy. He becomes morose. And then they said, Lalaji, what happened? Whole family is here. Why are you sad? He says, if whole family is here, who is in the shop? This is the problem. This is the problem. Okay. So old age in itself, even death will not necessarily give detachment from shop, from business, right? Or the story of the guy, there is a saintly person, and then there was his disciples. The disciples said, my father is hopeless. We have all taken to Krishna consciousness. He just doesn't understand. As children, we are trying to preach to our father. He doesn't understand. Always interested in business, right? So then what happens? The saintly person takes him to a crematorium, where you keep wood and then the funeral pyre is lit like that. And then he continuously takes him, okay? And then this father is going there. One day, the father has tears in his eyes. One day he realizes he has tears in his eyes. And then the saintly person asks, very good, now you understood the temporary nature of birth, because death will come. That's why you are weeping. Then what does the businessman say? He says, no, I am not crying because of death. I am thinking I should have been in the wood business. So here is to the beatings of material energy. So therefore Daksha's flaw is very clearly visible here for all of us. Beatings of material energy will not automatically give detachment. It doesn't work in this world. We have seen that. And these are examples to substantiate that. In fact, when I was in Japan many years back, I was chanting one day morning before going to office. And in Japan, houses are very, very small. That time we were actually, we had just landed and we were living in some matchbox type, thing. Toilet, kitchen, everything is in one room only, like that. And very expensive also. So, thankfully we were out in 1 week, but yeah. But during that time I was chanting and there was no space to, sit in the apartment. So I used to go outside to the balcony and I used to do my chanting. So one of my friends, the Bengali guy, he saw me. He said, why are you doing this now? In Hindi he asked me, Abhi kya mala japta hai? He says, why are you doing this mala? Japa now. All this has to be done in old age, he says. Right now is the time to work for the company and to grow in the organization, like that. So people don't understand that automatically old age disease will not give detachment. It will not give detachment. Okay. So people have this tendency that enjoy this life till you drop dead. And then automatically enjoyment will stop anyway, right? So this is the flaw in the logic of Daksha Prajapati. So, Grihastha Ashram, there is a difference between Shram and Ashram. Shram means what? In Sanskrit, Shram means labor, useless labor, right? For example, when we were doing in our Bhakti Vaibhav a few days back, in our Bhagavatam study of, I think the second canto or third canto, where it is mentioned that we are like the bull whose nose is tied to a pivot, and the bull is going around and round and round and round and round that pivot, right? Very, very hard work. Now, if someone stands and measures the distance a bull has traveled, how much distance a bull has traveled at the end? Quite a bit of distance, because one circle is one circumference, 2 pi r, one circumference, right? 2 into pi into radius, one circle. Like that, the bull has done millions and millions of circles in one lifetime, or maybe thousands. I don't know what's the lifetime of a bull, but whatever. So many circles it has done. But that is the distance. But what is the displacement of the bull? In science, they talk about scalar and vector, right? So distance is what? We have scientists here. Distance is what? Scalar. And displacement is vector. Displacement has got a direction, like that, like that. So the bull is going around, but the bull is not displaced from its position. It is still in the same position despite traveling lot of distance. This is the problem when we simply work hard in the material world, right? Like a bull going around and around. in terms of our evolution, from where we are to where we should go, we will go nowhere. We will still be in the same place. Probably, at least the bull is in the same place. For human beings, we will fall down to the lower species. We can retrograde after traveling all this distance, after all this hard work, right? So, Daksha Prajapati is not able to understand this principle. Right now, he is angry. When you are angry, your intelligence doesn't work. Right? So, his intelligence is completely gone bonkers now. Right? So, he's started chastising Narad Muni. If you see the charitra of Srila Prabhupada in Leelamrit, we see that Prabhupada wanted to join Mahatma Gandhi's movement. Right? Prabhupada was very inspired. Prabhupada said we should fight for the freedom of India. But then he met Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. And what did his Guru Maharaj tell him? Krishna consciousness cannot wait for freedom. And it was a very profound statement. Why did Bhaktivedanta Saraswati say that? Because what is freedom? Just Britishers left India. Has India got freedom? It is said that wherever you go, your mind will go with you. So real freedom is freedom from the onslaughts and demands of our own mind. That is real freedom. And when gets control over that mind, then one is free. Then one really can use his free will. Otherwise, where are we using our own free will? Our mind is deciding our free will right now. The soul is not deciding. Right? The conditioned soul, subjected to the onslaught of the mind, is carrying out activities. What is that? Manas shashthan indriyani prakriti sthani karsati. Everyone is driven by their own minds. So real freedom is freedom from the demands of our mind. Now Daksha Prajapati, if you see interestingly, he had darshan of the Lord. How many people will have darshan of the Lord? His austerities were there and Lord gave him darshan because of his austerities. Yet Daksha did not become a pure devotee. This is very ironical. In one sense ironical, in one sense not also. Because Duryodhana was also seeing the Lord all the time. He didn't become a devotee till his death. Right? Even he was lying down, at that time also Duryodhana didn't become a devotee. Right? So, Daksha had darshan of the Lord, yet he did not become a pure devotee. Why? Because Daksha was besotted, his mind was besotted with this concept of doing his material duty, where he forgot any principle that lies higher than doing material duties. He was enamored with this concept. So, for example, and he did not know that there is something called as a free will also. And that free will means that you can renounce your material duties for a higher purpose. So he did not utilize his free will. He didn't have that intelligence at that point in time. For example, I was hearing a few days back that one, please take a seat. I can sit here. So, I was hearing one devotee had gone to a college to preach in United States. Went to a college. And this devotee went to preach theology. And when this devotee had gone to the college, he overheard a conversation between two girls in the college. One girl was asking the other girl, "Do you think that boy is in love with you?" And the other girl said, "He better be, otherwise I'll kill him." Okay, so this devotee heard this, and because he was a theology professor, he said, "Let me use this example." So he went into his classroom and he told all his students that, I am the only theology professor in this whole college. If something goes wrong, if you guys don't love me from tomorrow, then I will stop teaching you. Because they were all pursuing doctorate in theology or whatever. It says, if you don't love me, I will not teach you. Not only that, I'll fail all of you. I'll give you all such grade, no university will accept you. Right? He said this. Obviously, he did not mean it, but he said this, and then the students were like, how can you say this? Right? And then the teacher, this devotee teacher told them that no, I was just giving an example. I overheard this conversation outside. Love cannot be forced. It's free will, right? It's everyone's free will to either develop love for the Lord or to develop love for material energy, or fall in love with the concept of just being a good man and thinking that's the goal of human life, right? Being a good prisoner in the jail. So, love cannot be forced. Now, unless this love is cultivated outside of our material duties, we have to do our material duties, there is no doubt about that. But we have to use our free will also to cultivate love of Godhead. That's our free will. Because unless this love starts manifesting, we will not get a higher taste. We will give up only something lower for something higher. We will give up, for example, a mother likes sweets. A mother likes sweets. But there is only one sweet. And the child also likes sweet. What do you think the mother will do? Thank you, Mataji. A mother likes sweets. But when there is only one sweet, and she sees the child also, my child also wants the sweet, what will the mother do? Automatically the mother will sacrifice that sweet. She will do an austerity of not eating that to give it to the child. So this austerity, and then the mother is grumpy after that. My child, I don't know, 2-3 children, 3 gulab jamuns, all these children are eating all the time. I'm not getting. Will the mother think like that? No. She is happy. She is happy. No, I didn't get. Children have eaten. I'm very happy. Like that. Why? Because this is the power of love. This is the power of love. So, unless we start developing love for Krishna, we will not have the real taste of renunciation. Renunciation or detachment will become a burden in our life. Okay. So, Daksha is not understanding that principle. Whereas Narad Muni knows that. And that's where there is a problem between both of them. Daksha Prajapati, he wanted to populate the earth. In that sense, he had his own reference point and his own priority. So he thinks that these boys have to take responsibility because I have now produced them. These boys have to take responsibility and take Grihastha ashram. So his larger concern, what was his larger concern? He thought that Narad Muni is messing up with my material duties. That is how he is thinking. I am doing something very nicely. You dare come and mess with my service. So he is thinking like that. So now where there is anger, there is no gratitude. Actually, Daksha should have had gratitude to Narad Muni that he is delivering my children from the cycle of repeated birth and death. In that, he is doing, as a guru, he is doing the greatest service to me. So, but instead of that, because he was besotted with this concept that my family should only serve me. This was his problem. My family should only serve me because I have produced these children. I have educated these children. I have paid $7,000 to put them in St. Mary's Grammar School. I have paid $32,000 to put them in Melbourne, grammar school. Fintona Grammar. Camberwell Grammar. $32,000 per annum I have put, and how dare after that they became brahmacharis. And then they are distributing books on the street after I put them in a grammar school. I was thinking they'll go to Harvard and become investment bankers. How dare you distribute books? So this is how he's thinking. They should serve me because I toiled for them. I toiled to pay that 32,000. I bought multiple houses, negatively geared, sold properties and then funded their education. And this rascal is distributing books on the road. and then he's on Harinam. And people think, has your son become a beggar? And what happened to my prestige? So this is the concept. With this concept, what happens when you start thinking that my children, my labor, products of my labor, serving only me, then you get angry when someone comes and spoils the fun. And then society also puts fuel to this frustration, I'll give you an example. I have a relative of mine, actually he's my wife's cousin. He's a very senior brahmachari in ISKCON, in Chowpatty temple. Very senior brahmachari, right? Very, very, very well respected brahmachari, like that. So, he was born with a silver spoon. Father was very wealthy, very, very wealthy. By Bombay standards, in Bombay, he lives in Worli Sea Face. So, Worli Sea Face is a pretty prime area. It's like Beaconsfield Parade bungalow, facing, what's the property value? 3.5 million? I don't know. Right? 4 million? God knows. So like that property, facing the Arabian Sea. On top of that, very good education in one of South Bombay's premium schools. Right? On top of that, not only school was good, he was a good student as well. Otherwise, sometimes only school is good. I am not a good student. Very good student. He did computer science from a very prestigious university and was selected in a nationwide talent hunt by the government of India for a very, very top-class country mission, where they select only the best of the best, selected there. On top of that, in India, there are, how many demigods are there? 16,000. How many demigods are there? 33 million. 33 million and 11 demigods are there in India. 33 million and 11 demigods. Who are these 11 demigods? The cricket team of India. They are worshipped like the Devi Devatas. Right? Now, in a country which worships cricketers like this boy, whom I am talking about, he was selected for playing under 14 cricket for Australia, and he came here for county cricket. He visited Australia as a batsman. When I went to his house, for the first time I came to know that I have such a relative from my wife's side, I said, very fortunate. I'll go and meet him. Full of awards, cricketing trophies from Muhammad Azharuddin, who was India's captain at that time. Right? So, rich parentage, and looks very handsome, tall, very good looking. So, everything was there. Who can we remember? His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. Can't we remember him today? Right? I'm not talking about him right now. This brahmachari was not that person. But Jayapataka Maharaj also had that. Very good looking, very rich. Everything was going very good. Similarly, this person also, this brahmachari I'm talking about, everything going well. What happened? Only one problem. One person gave him Leelamrit. He read Leelamrit and he went to the temple president at that time of Pune and asked him, I can serve you in two ways. I can make lots of money. This person is highly talented. Anyway, only son, by the way. That also, I forgot to mention you. Only son, right? I have all this wealth. I have this education. I can play cricket. I can do studies. I have excelled in everything. And I can make money and give it to the temple. That's one way I can serve. Or I can join the temple as brahmachari. The temple president said, no, we don't want your money. We want people like you. We have such people in our own congregation. Goparnish Prabhu is there, very successful as a student. We know it. PhD from Melbourne University. We have people who have joined. I'm sure many are there, just that I don't know. Right? So, now why did he join? Because he developed that. When he studied Leelamrit, he realized that both ways are bona fide ways of serving. That's why he went and asked that question. But the choice was eventually left to the temple president, who thought that he can serve better in this way, and that proved to be correct. That was a good decision, because now there is an evaluation. What can I do? Then you consult a senior authority who is self-realized, and that was a Narad Muni in his life, who told him, no, don't go here. Go this side only. Don't get into Grihastha Ashram right now. So, sometimes these events can happen in life. Now, what happened interestingly was that when his mother realized that son is joining the ashram forever, then what happened? Obviously, the mother was very, very sad. She said, what did these ISKCON people have done to my son? He studied in this computer institute, he played for India cricket and this and that. Mother was a little bit morose. There's no doubt about it. Natural, right? And then why mother is morose? Less because of the Krishna consciousness, more because the son will now stay away from home. This is a natural sentiment for a mother. We have to understand. Mother is a human being, right? No mother wants to stay away from her child, right? So she was upset. But then the relatives in the society people, building people, around the colony, everyone, they all came to the home. They said, what a glorious mother you are. What a child you have in your womb. And then the mother said, do you also want that for your child? No, we are okay. So they are glorifying her for the path that her child has adopted. When she asked them back, do you want your child also, will you sacrifice like this to become brahmachari? He said, no, we are happy. Let him play cricket only. Our children will play, like that. So the society also is a little bit hypocritical when it comes to see brahmacharis, right? They are admired, but nobody wants their children to be like that. And therefore Prabhupada said that even I am often criticized, because I'm showing them this path and they are choosing out of their free will. Though many of Prabhupada's disciples were extremely qualified. Dr. T.D. Singh, who became Swarup Damodar Maharaj, PhD, very, very respected professor in an Ivy League engineering institute in US, right? Stalwart disciples. So many people, tennis players were inspired. Who was that? Peter Burwash, was a tennis player, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So many great personalities have surrendered their lives. And today is appearance day of His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. As I said, similar background. Jayapataka Maharaj could have done so many things in his life. But he chose. He was inspired to serve, dedicate his life for serving Srila Prabhupada. Despite his ill health, very poor health, he still continues traveling. Someone told me he's still traveling in the US or somewhere, I heard. Right? So this is how can someone do this unless one carries love of Lord Krishna inside one's heart more than any other need for anything in this material world, right? This is the glory of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada's disciples. And we are witnessing these kind of devotees are amidst us, guiding us. So Daksha, coming back to Daksha failed to understand these higher principles. Daksha got besotted with the concept of austerity. He said, my son have done so many austerities they have done, now it's time for them to get the reward of their austerities in terms of producing children. Like that. So Daksha failed to understand that devotional life also has its share of austerities. If you are besotted with austerities, no problem, we have enough austerities. For example, there is a famous story in ISKCON of a drug seller. This person was selling drugs and he was being chased by the cops. And then what he did? He was running away from the cops and inadvertently, without his knowledge, he climbed the wall and jumped. On the other side of the wall was ISKCON temple. He came to the temple. He landed in the temple. Now, when he came into the temple, he was caught there. He said, okay, come, you can be here, come, I'll take darshan of the deities. And the devotees very lovingly cultivated him, right? After some time, he said, now I have to be honest. He became a devotee. But he said, now I have to be very honest and truthful to my temple president. I want to tell him that, you know what, I have this background. I was drug dealer before, right? Drug peddler rather. So then he went and told the temple president, look, I have this and the police is after me actually. Okay. So the temple president said, no problem. Okay. Past is past, but still, I would, you go and surrender to the police, right? Because they're searching for you. So instead of they searching, you go and surrender to them and then, then do whatever punishment, undergo it and then come back and join like that. So he said, okay. So he went and then he was presented before the magistrate. So the magistrate heard like this, and then the magistrate said, we have to give you some, because you are honest, you voluntarily walked to my court, I'll give you lesser sentence. So he said that you have to do some kind of rigorous service or something like that. So he said, okay. But then the magistrate asked, by the way, what are you doing currently? He said, I am in this ISKCON temple. He said, what do you do? He said, I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Right? Then he said, what do you do? I take bath in cold water. Then what do you do? I attend Mangala Arti. Then what do you do? Then he said, then I hear Bhagavatam class, spiritual discourse. Then what do you do? Then I take some prasadam. What do you eat? Then he said, I eat this khichdi or something, whatever, some prasadam. And then what do you do? Then I said, I go and do book distribution and I clean the temple and do all services. So till when? He said, till night. I am in service. And then what do you do? He said, I sleep and next day again 3:30 I get up. He said, no punishment for you. This is enough punishment. This is enough. What more punishment I can? Even our jail, you get more privileges than this. That is what the thinking of the magistrate was. Right? So people cannot understand what is going on here. They think without enjoyment and mundane recreation, happiness is not possible in this world. So Daksha is not able to come out right now into a higher cause. And that is why this dichotomy. That is why Daksha is having this temperament to curse and chastise Narad Muni, thinking that Narad Muni is doing a great disservice to him. And now we will see how in his madness he is going on and on with Narad Muni and chastising him till the point that he actually curses Narad Muni, saying that I curse you that you will not be able to stay in one place. And then Narad Muni says, fantastic, that's what I wanted. I'll go everywhere and preach. Prabhupada said, I am also cursed like that. I cannot be in one place. And thank God, for that curse. In one sense, we don't want Prabhupada to be cursed, but otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here Bhagavatam right now. Right now we would have all had our morning tea and newspapers and be working in office to buy our next property. Correct or no? That would be our goal of life, right? But we are all here discussing this. Thanks to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So let's stop here. Any questions or comments or corrections? Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
That Daksha had very nicely instructed his sons to do austerities and then create progeny. But then Narada also came and instructed them to just not do progeny, just go in the process of bhakti. So they could have asked, why didn't they ask Daksha if they should follow it or not? Because when some devotee tells us to do something, we would go to our parents and then ask if we could follow this or not. So why didn't they go?
I'm envious of you. Okay, so why should they not have asked their parents? So, it is said that Guru's instructions, at the end of the day, it's not about obedience to parents is very, very important, okay? Please don't mistake me, okay? Obedience to parents is very, very important, but obedience to parents comes from the platform of morality, okay? And it can be dovetailed in spirituality. But morality is not above spirituality. Spirituality is higher than morality. You remember I started the class with describing Naimittika Dharma and Nitya Dharma. That is why I started that, the class with that, because Nitya Dharma, the goal of life, driving, a good driver is one who knows his destination and who also follows the rules and goes to that destination, right? So simply following, if they would have consulted Daksha, what do you think Daksha would have said? What is his mentality right now? What is the advice he would have given? He would have said, very good, I am willing to give up my false ego simply because you came and consulted me. What would have been the probability that Daksha would have thought like that and said, no, okay, no problem. Narad Muni is there. No, he's Guru, you go there. I am father, but it's okay. Was Daksha that type of person? What history did Daksha have in the past towards saintly personalities, right? He has a history. So we have to see his nature. We have to see the pravritti. So the children were very intelligent. The children knew that our father's consciousness, if we go to him right now in his state of mind, what advice he will get, right? That's one. Number two, we have to also understand the power of Narad Muni's preaching. Narad Muni, lava matra sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hai. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in Madhurya Kadambini that the love of a pure devotee, the love for Krishna which a pure devotee carries in his heart, when someone associates with that devotee, that love is transplanted into the heart of the other devotee. So, who are we talking about? We are talking about Narad Muni, who is the spiritual master of the entire world, right? How many, regardless of whether the person was a hunter, cannibal, demigod, everyone he has delivered. All levels of people he has delivered. He is the most expert preacher, right? So, 1 minute moment of contact, we can only imagine, or probably we can't even imagine, what amount of transformation that Narad Muni would have made, an impact he would have made within the hearts of these Savalasvas, right? So, due credit to Narad Muni also that he inspired them so much that they actually developed a tendency that no, we are very clear on what we want to do, we don't want to ask our father. Because they were completely convinced with what Narad Muni was doing. That's the power of a powerful preacher. Plus, they also knew the mentality of their father. So, if they would have gone to their father, history would have been different. Right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because Sevya's parents are like Narada Muni and they're teaching them the teachings of Narada Muni,
Yes.
she can consult her parents at
100%,
any time.
100%.
So,
You will be very safe being an obedient daughter.
yes.
Because your parents are very good devotees. That is why. So you should always obey them, okay? So don't misquote me. Don't misuse.
You can always consult your parents.
Yeah. Always consult. Otherwise your father will go for me. Outside the class, he will not. He'll beat me up in the courtyard. No, jokes apart, yes. On a serious note, yes. If you have Vaishnava parents, it's a privilege to have Vaishnava parents. As much as for parents, it's a privilege to have Vaishnava children. It's a mutual privilege. So, very fortunate. Very happy for you. And for your parents also. Yes, Mataji. You had a question? No? Okay. Anything else? Okay. Granthraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.